Well, to discuss the situation more about Syria, I'm joined from Washington by Dr. Webster Tarpley, author and historian. Welcome to the programme, sir. Dr. Tarpley, first of all, what do you make of the situation in Syria? How worse can it get?
Well, I guess it can get significantly worse, and certainly the events at the UN General Assembly now have not helped matters. I would point out that this resolution was actually written by the Saudis, right? Written by Saudi Arabia. It's an unbelievable piece of hypocrisy. I don't know how they can do this with a straight face. An absolute monarchy, a relic of feudal barbarism, one of the most backward regimes in the world, is going to give lessons to Syria, a much more advanced country. I think this is absolutely absurd. This was also made possible by the President of the United Nations General Assembly, who's from Qatar. He represents the royal family there, the Thanis. The other thing, of course, is the way that the resolution is written. As Russian Ambassador Churkin said, it's completely one-sided. The resolution reads as if there is no armed opposition. The armed opposition simply does not exist. There are no death squads, no terrorists. It's just peaceful, unarmed protesters. Quite fantastic. This makes everything worse. But before the U.S. gloats too much over this result, let's just look at some of the internals of that vote, if we could. 133 countries voted for it. Lots of banana republics can be induced to vote for just about anything. But against it, you had 12 countries against it. You had 31 abstaining, including India and Pakistan, large important states. And then you had 17 countries that just didn't show up. They ducked the vote. It was too wrenching for them. We can assume that they're not too happy with this resolution. So what you've got out of the 193 member states is about 1/3 against it, 2/3 for it, and the ones that are against it, well, I think, with much more conviction. That would again be Russia, China, Iran, Venezuela. These are important, influential states. North Korea, Syria, Belarus, Cuba, Bolivia, Nicaragua, Burma, and Zimbabwe. So that is certainly not a coalition to be sneezed at, and I don't think that the U.S. can gloat too much. If you think about the population of the countries that were unable to support the resolution, since you've got Russia, you've got China and India there, and Pakistan and some other big ones, you get up to, I think, about 40% of the world's population is against this resolution. So that's not really one-sided. Syria is not isolated.
Indeed. Well, now, we have several key players in the Syria scenario, just to mention Turkey, US and its allies, all them. But I'd like to know, what role does the Iraqi Kurdistan play in here? We have the Turkish foreign minister recently going there.
Well, we've looked at Turkey over the past week as a country that's losing a sense of reality. That is, the leadership group around Erdogan and Davutoglu have lost contact with the strategic premises that have made Turkey a successful country. These were laid down by Ataturk after the First World War. You can't be an empire. You better be a national state. Don't go meddling in the internal affairs of other countries. So Turkey is poised, I'm afraid, to pay a terrible price. And we have to look at Saudi Arabia. You know, here in the United States, we're going through the 150th anniversary of a civil war that took place here, right around Washington, among other places. And what we found was that in the second year of the Civil War, it got much more radicalized. And I think that's what's happening in the Middle East. In particular, the House of Saud taking this prominent role now as the champions of democracy. Are they not risking a very substantial blowback? We've also got the local paper in Aspen, Colorado, wondering what is the fate of one of their most famous residents, right? Prince Bandar of Saudi Arabia, who owns a condo in Aspen, who hasn't been seen for the last week or two. There are reports that he succumbed to an attack on his headquarters. When we look at the ferment in Saudi Arabia around Qatif, when we look at the agitations continuing in Bahrain, we might say that there's a very good potential that these Gulf monarchs that have been so eager to meddle and interfere in Syria and other countries, they may soon find themselves very busy at home defending the existence of their dynasties, which I think are likely to come under attack as this crisis is driven to a more and more radical form.
Indeed, and we've seen that Russia has been a key player in this scenario. How much do you think Russia will get physically involved in this case?
This is hard to say, right? The last report we had was 11 warships dispatched to the eastern Mediterranean in the Tartus region. There was another report in the last day or two of 3 more Russian warships with 360 Marines on board sent again to Tartus. That was then officially denied, but one does wonder. The important thing, I think, with the Russian presence is that it's incalculable. It cannot be predicted. President Putin is a strong leader. He's really the heart and soul of this entire international opposition. The West, the NATO powers, would like to attack Syria right away, but they have a feeling that Putin will find a way to retaliate. They don't know how, they don't know where, when. I don't think anybody knows, but it might be a retaliation that would be very uncomfortable, very painful for the Western powers. And I think that's what's holding this situation together. Otherwise, we'd be going into a regional war already.
Indeed. Interesting discussion there with Dr. Webster Griffin Tarpley, author and historian from Washington. Thanks for your time there, sir.